Blue Origin gets called slow a lot because Blue has been around for 21 years and still has yet to reach orbit, but I felt there was more to it. So I spent some time researching the topic, and this is a summary of my findings. To begin with, slow is a bit of a nebulous term, so we'll put it in terms of relative schedule and delays. In regards to schedule, we can look at it from the overall schedule, so when New Glenn actually launches, and the milestones to reach that. Then Blue will be compared to the other companies. New Shepard is definitely the most guilty for being delayed. Back when New Shepard was originally laid out in the 2006 environmental assessment, it was aiming at a crewed flight in 2010 with a flight rate of up to 52 launches a year. Of course, this didn't come through. That came as a result of significant design change, switching from the BE2 hydrogen peroxide kerosene engine to the Hydrolox BE3. Admittedly, there was even slips in the BE2 New Shepard development schedule. By 2008, the first customer flight had slipped to 2012. BE3 New Shepard came as a result of the 2011 CC Dev 2 funding accelerating their plans for the BE3. In 2016, they were aiming at crewed test flights in 2017. This has been since delayed to July this year, so a 4-year delay. Overall time of development being 10 years with the delay of 4 years. Is this slow? I mean, yes, but when your only competition is like Virgin Galactic, it's a lot less bad relatively speaking. New Glenn. In 2016, it was aimed at launching in 2020, which ended up being delayed to Q4 2022, which is most likely end up being 2023. So a 3-year slip there. Now, if they do the launch in 2023, that's an 11 year to launch, giving us the start date of 2012. Which is slow, but not that bad. Falcon Heavy ended up taking 10 years, Long March 5 took 10 years, H3 is taking 8 years, SLS is taking 10 years. It's not that far from industry standard. We can also look at some development milestones. So in August 2018, they were predicting the prototype New Glenn being available to test by net mid-2019, so 9 months away. Well, it's now May 2021, so 32 months later. How are they going with it? Well, in February, they did show off the in-progress structural test article, but it looks like the tooling for that engine skirt of the booster, along with the structural test article skirt itself, has just been thrown out of the factory, so it appears that we're not that close to a structural test article being built. This is not good. That's a minimum slip on building the prototype of 2 years. This gives a large degree of uncertainty in the Q4 2022 date, as that was posted before the prototype along with its tooling was thrown out. If New Glenn slips past 2023, then the development really starts to be slow. BE4. Originally back in 2014, they had a 2017 date of finishing development and being in production, with the first launch of the Vulcan being in 2019. Well, it's 2021 now, and they still haven't finished development, but it's reasonable to expect them to finish development by the end of this year, so 4 years of delay. This means it's taken 10 years to develop the BE4, which is reasonable relatively speaking. Raptor, for reference, has had a similar dev timeline, although at much greater scales of production. They were aiming at delivering 2 production engines and fully qualifying 2 additional engines for the first launch of Vulcan in 2020. They did deliver the Pathfinder engines to ULA back in June last year, but haven't yet qualified a set of BE4s. This won't happen until September because the qualification test stand that NASA sold them turns out to have significant rust issues. This meant that a lot more renovation had to be done than they initially expected. So that's a slip of delivering a set of qualified engines by 9 months minimum. 11 years for New Glenn and 10 years to develop the BE4 is alright, although 11 years for New Shepard is a lot more questionable. And the delays, while bad, aren't the worst in the world, so it raises this question: why hasn't Blue Origin achieved that much? Blue Origin in 2021 is only now approaching the workforce size SpaceX had back in 2012, 9 years ago. During those formative years in the 2000s, SpaceX pushed hard to get to orbit and get those commercial orbital transportation services / commercial resupply services contracts that allowed them to scale. Bezos just had Blue as a small hobby company messing around with hoppers. Despite starting in 2000, 2 years before SpaceX, Blue didn't really start scaling until like 2010. Blue Origin started off as slow and didn't do much in the first 10 years of existence. Just imagine the company started in 2010 instead of 2000. However, that doesn't really explain why the timelines are slower, relatively speaking. Now, for what causes the delays and slowness in these programs? A, the timelines they set are overambitious. B, the decision making is slow. And C, they are spreading resources tight with multiple large programs without the organisational size to take them on at the time. Pause the vid and read these Glassdoor reviews of Blue Origins if you need more context for those points.